There we go. Hey everyone, I'm Chris from MediaFreshPress.com. I'm here with Nathaniel Brennis from OneMoreCupOfCoffee.com, and we're here this week to talk about all the questions we've been getting from you. There's a live Q&A app open, so if you're watching the event live, you should be able to ask your question, and we're going to get started basically on some of the ones we've received in the past and some of the other common ones. So, Nathaniel,
What's that?
how do you want to kick off this thing?
I want to talk about my mustache. In case
I do too.
I went on a motorcycle trip and to my friend's house in Fresno, and he happened to have some mustache wax, and we got in this whole mustache conversation. So he lent me the wax, and it's getting pretty bushy, and I was like, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have anyone to worry about what I look like. I'm gonna mess with this. With the mustache curling. It's not going 100% to plan yet. I gotta train, but I was thinking, the other, what's his name? Rand Fishkin.
Yes.
He rocks a pretty good mustache.
Yeah, he does. He's got a lot of different styles I see too sometimes.
Does he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's kind of. I was looking at pictures of him earlier today. I was like, how does he do that? And mine kind of goes out in a handlebar fashion, which I guess works as well.
Yeah, that would I've noticed it was getting bushy, man. I try to like let mine grow in, but I always trim mine. Like if you notice, I trim mine thinner than my goatee because I can't handle it. Once it gets to touching my lip, I gotta trim it. But I like my goatee long sometimes.
Yeah, I figure everyone who can grow a little bit of facial hair should have some crazy designs at one point in their life.
Yeah.
Uh, so we're gonna see how this goes over the next couple months.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll do a series just on your mustache, like.
What's this document called with the questions in it?
It's called. Let me make sure real quick. I think it's called Fresh Coffee.
Webinar suggestions.
Yeah, there's an old one too. I don't know if you got the new one up or not.
I got this one that looks like you edited.
Yeah, I tried to go in there and try to like make some space for people to add in their stuff real quickly. Yeah, what do you think about that? Does that work? Because I couldn't get I didn't know if people would add add the number in for themselves or not, and I was afraid it would get all out of whack. So I tried to move this stuff down so they could see what we talked about already. And blah,
Yeah,
blah.
it looks a lot better. That was better than what I had going on. Um, yeah, before we get to this stuff too, I want to tell you about AdWords. So I've always talked a lot of crap about AdWords in the past, and I don't know. Sometimes it takes a couple false starts to get stuff going in the right direction. I spent hundreds, maybe over $1,000 earlier this year, like maybe February time, February, March, around that time, and I didn't really have any luck. And then Kyle started this new AdWords training for boot camp. I was like, all right, well, I'll give it another try. And I don't want to jinx it because I did this with my last PPC campaign that went well. But in the first night, I had three. I did like one campaign or one ad group. I had three conversions in the first night, and I already got my cost per action down pretty low. Not as low as Bing, but pretty low enough that it was profitable. And since then, I've had about 3 per day. So, it's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's working and it's profitable. So yesterday, I spent the day pretty much obsessing over that, doing all kinds of different ads, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, it's weird you bring up AdWords because this morning I get up and I check my email, and I've got a receipt from AdWords for $5, and I'm like, what the hell? I ran some ads through there, but right now everything's paused and been paused for more than a month. So I'm looking at this receipt. I'm like $5. It's like $5 and some change. So I wasn't gonna worry about it, but then I was like, well, man, what if that's some kind of reoccurring thing that I don't know about or something? So I look in the email I got from AdWords last week about some new thing they're doing, and there's like a phone number and everything. So I was like, cool. I didn't realize you could actually get on the phone with somebody. So that
They have a
was
phone number?
yeah. They have, dude. I talked to a lady there. It was a call center. It sounded like, but she was super friendly, really helpful. Even showed me some tips about AdWords. I was like, cool. So I was surprised to see that Google had a phone number where you could actually call somebody.
Yeah, I that's news to me. Like I've called Bing a couple times, and they're pretty good. I wonder if AdWords is following suit.
Could be, maybe so. 'Cause I know for a long time I heard people complain about, you can't talk to Google, you can't get a hold of them. There's nobody to ever talk to. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that.
Um, yeah, so that's good news. I'll have to give them a call next time I have trouble with stuff. And on that same thing with not with AdWords but with AdSense,
Uh-huh.
I was looking at buying some sites on Flippa this week. Flippa, and then another good place to buy sites is Empire Flippers. And so many of these sites are monetized with AdSense. And I just thought, how perfect would that be if I could buy a site that was making, say, like $1,000 a month with AdSense, and then add my additional affiliate marketing to it, and increase the earnings on it. But I was banned from AdSense 3 years ago, and I thought, well, it's been 3 years. I have some sites that are getting pretty good traffic now. Maybe like there's some kind of secret like time passed, and then they'll kind of reinstate you without saying it in so many words. And so I reapplied to AdSense, and in less than 24 hours they rejected me again. So it is literally banned for life, which is amazing. Like how I joined. How can they not look at that data and see that I joined within 3 or 4 months? I was banned, and then 3 years later, like I have sites that are getting traffic, blah blah blah. They can check out my stats. They know my email address, whatever. And they're still like, nope. Like doesn't matter when or why you were banned. 100% banned for life. You're gone.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that either, man. Seems like they would at least have some type of, re-entry process where they can, because obviously they want to keep out the big-time spammers, but maybe if they had some way to, like, when you're trying to re-enter back into it, they had some type of test for, like, they can make sure you know what their terms of service are. Seems like they should have that anyway, almost, but because I don't know. I think that's a good for somebody new that really wants to monetize a site that way. They're gonna start by doing that and then ruin their chances for life, and I think that sucks, man.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything yet. You know what I mean? So. My dad's got banned from when my dad got banned from AdSense back when they first started AdSense. He like hates Google now just because of that alone. So, and they won't never let him back in, man. It sucks.
Apparently, if you start a business like an LLC, so you start it with a new email address and a new name and a new credit card, that they'll reinstate you. I don't know how reliable that is. Like, I forget who it was, some guy that builds these niche sites. I think it was Spencer Hawes from Niche Pursuits, maybe.
Uh-huh.
One of those niche guys. He was banned, and then he formed an LLC, and he said he got back in. I don't know if Google doesn't know that they banned his person and have reinstated his, or have allowed his company, or if they know, and that's just like one of the rules.
I don't. It's probably that they can't connect the two. That's what I would think anyway. Them guys, man. I got a question for you about them guys. Spencer Hawes and Pat Flynn, and even you do a little bit of it. How in the hell do these guys? Because like Pat Flynn, Spencer, Hawes, they have pretty well known. I'd consider them authority sites. How do they do that and still manage to run all these small niche sites? I just don't get it. I know a lot of it's outsourced and stuff like that, but man, that's got to take a lot of time. He's always hiring, so
Um,
maybe that's one reason.
I mean, I can only give insight to my stuff because I know how I run it. Them, I think they post a lot less. So they post to their main content sites once every 2 weeks or once a week or something. And then, like Pat Flynn has a podcast, so I don't know how often his podcast comes out, but they'll do like a podcast sometimes, a blog post sometimes.
Yeah, I guess.
But another thing that they do that, that I think is cheating is that they backlink their sites. So like for me, it took me 500-600 posts before I could build any authority to One More Cup of Coffee. Um, where they're talking about a site with like 20 to 30 posts, which is possible. Kyle did that with his site where he was getting 1,000 visits a day with 20 posts or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but these guys, they use these private blog networks to artificially gain authority. Uh, so they can build a site with 30 blog posts. They'll do one blog post a week. It'll take them a couple months, build a couple links to it, and then they'll get traffic to it, and they can get it profitable. And I don't think they run a lot of websites at once. So a lot of these guys, what they'll do is they'll build a site, get traffic to it, get it earning, and they'll sell it. Because if you can, let's say you take 3 to 4 months to build a site with these artificial backlinks, and you get it earning $200 a month, which isn't much as far as income goes, but it sells for 20 times earnings on 20 times monthly earnings, and they only take 3 to 4 months worth of back data. So whatever 20 times 2 is, 4,000. You got $200 a month times 20, yeah. So you sell it for $4,000, and there's the site right there that you can make a good chunk of change on.
So this private blog network crap, man, is coming up over and over and over. I can see it in your eyes, plus from earlier email correspondence we had. I can tell that you're like a fan of these things. Or maybe not a fan of them. I shouldn't go that far, but like you think they work.
I have no doubt that they work.
But let me rephrase that. You don't think they work long term though, right? Or do you?
Right. Well, I mean, I know from experience that if you get fake backlinks, you're playing with fire. Now, these guys who run and sell links from the private blog networks, they'll tell you it's safe. They'll tell you Google won't find out. But that's your first indication that you shouldn't be doing it, because they'll tell you Google won't find out. You're not supposed to do it. So it depends. It's just really hard to figure out who you don't know. So you're supposed to get these links from these private networks, but to keep the networks safe, they can't tell you what sites they're from. So you are trusting the name or the brand of the person selling you the links. If you can't see the site, you can't see what sort of backlinking they've done to that site. You certainly can't know what Google knows about that site. And you've seen the products that have been coming through my site about people talking about PBN this, PBN that, private blog network, whatever, high supercharge your rankings, blah blah blah. When people start selling products like this, that's like that's when the newbies jump on board, and that's when they kind of get abused.
That's when it gets killed, yeah. And the reason I think that some of these work is because, like you said, they're private, and I think I don't really want to say their names, but some of the bigger guys that may be using these, I think some of them build their own networks just for them, where they're not actually selling the links. They're just using them for well, I guess maybe they'd have to make it anyway. So they're just kind of using them for their main money site or sites. And that bugs me, man, because if it's working, and I'm sure it's working because, like you said, I've seen how it works. I understand how it's getting by Google's radar. But that sucks, man. That really irritates me. I mean, just because some guy can go out there and build 20 sites and link them in a loop to each other, I mean, how is that authoritative? I don't know. It bugs me that they haven't fixed the link problem yet. Yet they've managed to destroy multiple companies, but they can't fix the link problem. That irritates me.
I think it's small enough that it's not really on their radar right now. At least like the ones that get past them are small enough. So like, in our circle, we recognize these website names. We're like, oh, Pat Flynn, he uses private blog networks. Why doesn't Google take down his sites? But I think on the scale of the people that work on the level of those guys are few and far between. And the people that can afford those type of links are also not that many. Now the people that are joining like these public networks or buying like whatever crappy SEO products that are built by people who don't really understand how to build these networks appropriately, that's the kind of people that are going to get caught, and that's going to be most people because they're looking for a deal. They're like, oh, 10 free backlinks. Like, great, I'll get those, and then I'll sign on for a monthly subscription of 50 links from this amazing network, and then they wonder why their site isn't ranking or whatnot.
And because a lot of the stuff that I read about these, when they're talking about how to build your own network, they're always saying, that your main site has to be good. It's got to have good content. It's got to live up to what everybody else says about a website or a blog. So sometimes I wonder, are they just making their money site so good because they're worried about what they're doing that, you know what I mean, that it's just good anyway, and they could eliminate what they're doing with their PBN, and it would still rank just like it is. Yeah. Google's looking at the quality and not really what they're doing on the link side of things. That'd be funny.
That's a possibility. Like with anything, I've seen different case studies and whatnot where they say like, okay, I did links here, and this is where my site took off and stuff. I mean, links do matter, but there's so many other variables that it's hard to say exactly how much it influenced and when. I read an interesting article today from, I think, WordStream. Have you ever heard of WordStream?
Oh, WordStream, yeah.
They do AdWords stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was talking about testing, like split testing, and they were saying that all of these gurus, they're like, oh, I did this magical thing to make my site or to make my landing page convert at like 5% better or 10% better, whatever. But then they drew this line chart where the lines converge, and they showed where during initial testing you could see there was let's say a 10% jump in conversions, but over time the lines would meet and it would be exactly the same. And the whole point of that article is that sometimes initially you see results, but on a longer time horizon, that the differences aren't really that much. And so I think with the whole point of that, I think the private blog networks are kind of the same thing, where if you build some links initially, maybe you could do a little bit better in the beginning or a little bit faster, but on a long-term scale, like someone who builds good content and someone who builds good content with links, I'm not convinced that the difference is going to be huge. That makes sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. I have clients all the time asking, well, why is this person outranking me and this person? And I'm like, well, that a lot of times they're new, and sometimes things will shoot up to the rankings and not stick there very long. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I used to rank #1 for Empower Network, and now I'm not even on page 1. I don't know why. I used to be ranked #1. You type in Empower Network, and that was #1 result was me. And I got like tons of comments, and I got a couple like good links, and all kinds of engagement, and I always updated the content. It filled all the criteria, and now I'm not even on page 1. So
When did that happen? I didn't realize that.
getting ranked 1 or getting deranked?
Getting moved out of the rank, out of the first page.
I don't know. Kind of after Empower Network started to die out.
I wish they'd die already. Are they still going at all?
Still going, and I've seen kind of a resurgence in traffic recently to their reviews, because there's this other thing now. There's like these proxy products where, like iPass 2 is one of them, where it's like, we have this great system, join our club, and then it's Empower Network subscription. Or there was this other one, Freedom Fighter Network, which I think is no longer associated with Empower Network, but same deal, where they're like, we have this great system, we're going to teach you how to make money, blah, blah, blah. They make 2 Empower Network, so.
Yeah, they'll be done soon enough. Huh. I didn't realize you were moved back. That kind of sucks, man. Maybe you'll get it back soon.
I'm not worried about it. Truth be told, I get a lot less hate comments now that I'm not ranked for it. Like,
I can believe that.
the rudeness that was associated with that company. I mean, I'm not exactly Mr. Angel in my private life, but at least I keep it respectful when I talk to like other people I'm not familiar with. But yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple run-ins with some of those guys too. Yeah. Anyway, so I put in the Showcase app for anyone watching. We were just talking about WordStream, so I popped that in there just so anybody could take a look at it. Should have probably put in some of those other sites too, I guess. But I think we're going to go ahead and move on from that. Private blog networks is a topic we could devote a lot of rants and raves to, I'm sure.
I'm gonna see if I can find that link.
For what?
I was talking about on the WordStream page. Okay,
Oh,
found it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll pass it to you and you can put it in there.
Yeah.
I'll put it in chat.
All right.
Okay, it's there.
All right. Cool. All right. So here's the link that Nathaniel was talking about specifically just a few minutes ago. I like this Showcase thing. Should be up there. All right. So you want to jump on some of these questions, or?
Yeah, let's get started.
So maybe if you weren't watching, we've covered a couple other questions before. You can go watch some of our previous Hangouts on Nathaniel's YouTube channel and on my YouTube channel, or you can go in the community and you'll see pretty much all of our Hangouts from the last year or so. So we're going to get started on this one. The first question I see here is normal blog schedule. When, hold on, this thing is in my way, man. Showcase app. Okay. When starting and after you're established. Oh, so I guess what's a normal blogger schedule when you're getting started and after you're established? I feel like we covered this one too before. Maybe we didn't.
That was a while ago, maybe.
So yeah, that's you. It depends. I know that sucks, but I wouldn't kill yourself when you're first getting started. It's good to have content on there for people to come back to, but when you're first getting started, I think having just a good base of content and marketing is more important than actually publishing a lot of content.
I think if you're learning, I find that it's like you only have so much time in the day, and so you start off with a lot of learning and just a little bit of doing, and then as you progress, you do less and less learning and more doing. So like, whereas in the beginning you might spend an hour reading and listening to videos and figuring out how to do stuff, and you only get 30 minutes of work done. It's the opposite later, where you can skim through something and learn it real quick, and then spend an hour doing stuff and making progress. As far as time goes, like I just tell people to start with an hour in the beginning. Pretty easy to like. If you have a full-time job, you still find you're still going to be able to find 1 hour in the day to do something. You know, if you don't watch TV in the evening, or you skip some sort of activity that you usually do, there's got to be 1 hour in the day. Even if you like have to sleep less, like figure out how to find 1 hour in the day to do something. Otherwise, like, what are you going to learn in 30 minutes a day? It's not to say, you know, you're going to fail. Like, a little bit is better than nothing, but it's kind of setting yourself up for slow progress. So an hour a day, so you don't fry your brain and get frustrated, and then as you build a tolerance to it, then you can do more and more.
And you know, like, it really does depend on what your work schedule is and all that. But so I would try to say, you know, if you can post something once a week or once every couple of weeks, you know, it really depends on what your schedule is. But whatever it is you decide that you can do, you should really stick with that. And I say that all the time, but I never do it. But that's why my blog sucks. But I see it all the time. It's really important. I think Nathaniel is a perfect proof of that. Consistency really pays off. So whatever you decide to do, stick with that, and don't get so caught up in learning like every little whim and every little thing you see online. Don't feel like you have to learn it all right that second. Stay focused and be consistent.
Yeah, because at least in my experience, you really do build a tolerance to it. Like, I used to struggle so bad to write 400 words. It would take me an hour, and I'd be exhausted by the end of it. And now I can write, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 words in a day, and that's just kind of like, all right, like I had a productive day. It's not like I'm dead. You know, I can still do other stuff. I kind of have to have inspiration, obviously, to write that much, but and sometimes I do struggle to write that one post per day.
Yeah.
But there clearly is like a higher tolerance. And like I said, I used to do an hour a day, and now I pretty much sit in front of the computer all day long, which is not ideal, certainly not passive income. But I can do it. I actually have to pull myself away from the computer and tell myself, okay, I'm gonna stop trying to work for this period of time.
Yeah, I've had to set guidelines myself too, because if not, part of the problem is that I love what I do, so I really enjoy it. I love learning the new stuff that goes on in our industry or whatever, and so yeah, it's really hard to pull yourself away from that. But I found recently that when I used to get up, and I mean, dude, as soon as my eyes were open, I was on the computer, you know, checking out my blog, maybe looking email, writing something. Most of the time it wasn't really productive, but sometimes it was. But now when I get up, I give myself some time in the morning. I'm not a runner or no big health addict or nothing like that, but I'll go for a walk sometimes. But for the last few months, I've been giving myself more time in the morning and then cutting myself off at night, and I'm going to bed a little bit earlier, which is really strange for me. So setting those boundaries, I know it's going to be hard, especially at first, but it's super important.
Yeah, I believe it. I didn't when I set stuff like that. It's like the more I work, sometimes the more I feel like I'm not getting done. Like I can sit,
Yeah.
I can write 3 blog posts, do a couple AdWords campaigns, spend some time in WA chat, and do all this stuff. And then if it's midnight and I'm in the middle of doing something, I'm like, oh, I'm so lazy. How did I not get that done today? Like sometimes you gotta kind of I guess this is for the established blogger people. You got to kind of count the stuff that you did do, even if it was small.
Yeah, there's always going to be more to do, always.
That was kind of one of my realizations. Not, I don't know if this exactly fits, but talking about the AdWords stuff, like how many, it's unbelievable how many opportunities there are in PPC. I guess the same is for search, but it's a little bit harder to see results. But there's so much opportunity out there that you just can't do it all. And you got to kind of take it in stride.
What do you mean in PPC? You just talking about driving traffic to a sale?
I'm just talking about like getting stuff done. Like I look at all the stuff that all the keywords available, like cheap keywords,
Yeah.
which is another thing that I learned is that you don't have to take Google's suggested bid for your thing. Which before I was paying like $1, $2 a click, and I was like, I can't afford this. And I'm getting clicks for like 18 cents now, which is amazing in AdWords.
On the first page?
Yeah.
Huh.
And when you see that, you're like, I mean, this is talking specifically about PPC, but you can translate that to any sort of online marketing thing. The vast majority of people aren't digging into it. Like they're listening to these schmoes who are like, yeah, you got to do this, that, or the other. But if you focus on, now I'm kind of losing track of what I was saying. The point I wanted to make was that there's a lot of opportunities out there, and you got to focus on one or two, do that, and then move on to the next one instead of taking everything at once.
Yeah, that's hard to do too. You really got to try. You got to put effort into focusing because I think it's known as shiny object syndrome. When you first get started online, or even I think everybody struggles with that. It's easy to see something and be like, wow, I really want to try that, and then just get totally immersed in it and accomplish nothing. Now you've got 3, 4 projects that aren't done, and it can be a big mess, and I've done it. I'm still doing it, kind of, but definitely got to put effort into focusing. And that's why I say that time in the morning and at night is crucial, too, because that lets your mind just sit there for a minute. That's really important, man. All right, so let's go on to number 2 here. Most important tools you use. I know you've got quite a few that you really like.
Yeah, probably the one that I use the most, and I think, thank God that I pay for this, is what is that called? I've mentioned a couple times. Let me look here. Manage WP.
Oh, yeah. The one where you manage multiple blogs.
Yeah. It's just it's insane. I just click up. I've got like 40 websites in there, which
Wow.
I don't run all of them actively, but they have content on there. They get traffic and they make sales. So I still have to update WordPress and update plugins and stuff. I'm like, update everything, and updates all the plugins, all the themes, all the WordPress installs, and it takes like a minute to go through everything. Whereas before I'd have to like open up 20 different tabs, and I'd have to like redo everything. It was miserable.
I'm trying to think. I've got a lot of tools that I use, but I don't know what would be the most important one. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I'm trying to think of the most important. Probably the one. Sorry, man. I swallowed that drink the wrong way. Probably the one I use more than anything else is a free tool that reads my text back to me. And this is probably this is probably because I do a lot of writing. So it's called Speak It. If you use Chrome, you can go get it for free. Just add it to your browser, and I use that multiple times every day. And I know another one, RoboForm. I've had that one for a couple years.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Do you use that, or do you use LastPass or anything?
I use RoboForm.
Yeah, it's a great tool, man. What RoboForm does, if you don't know, it kind of all your passwords that you collect over time to all your websites or different membership sites that you're a part of, your whatever your password you've got. RoboForm keeps them and manages them all for you for like I think it's $40 a year or something like that.
Something like that. I can't remember. I know it used to be a one-time fee, and then they changed it to the yearly fee.
So yeah, that's probably the one that I depend on the most. There's a free one called LastPass, but to me it was really confusing. RoboForm is great. My grandfather has a notepad, a black notepad that he keeps on his password. It drives me crazy. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. Funny story. I was fixing my grandfather's computer, and he was having trouble with something, and he's like, I needed his password for the internet because we were signed off, and he's like, oh, you mean my email password? And I was like, no, not your. He kept calling it his AOL password. I was like, no, not that. You need a password for the internet. That's how you sign on to the internet. He's like, we don't have a password. I was like,
Oh no.
yeah, you do, because he's asking me for it. So I was like digging through scraps of paper and finally found it. Luckily, he didn't throw anything away.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, let's see what else we got here.
Snagit's another one that I use all the time. I mean, that's just because I do reviews of stuff that are on the internet. But for me, it's great. I just got that little bubble. It's like a little bubble on the side of your screen, like right here. And then you click it, and it pulls up the screenshot tool, and you can grab a certain section of the screen. And it's got all kinds of like arrows and little stamps that you can put on it, and you do like a border or put a shadow behind it. And then it works great for instructions as well. Like Droplr I used to use a lot, but then they started charging for it, and then I never quite figured out how to use Monosnap on the Mac. So I just use Snagit, and then you can screenshot something and you upload the link to TechSmith's website, whatever it's called, screencast.com, and then you can share that link with someone and they can see the screenshot that you took, and you can add arrows and stuff. That helps me when I give instructions to other people.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. I use it for a lot of blog posts and stuff like that. That is a really handy tool to have. I also like it because not only you can do the images, like you can post a link for an image, but you can do video with that as well. So me and my dad were talking about something a few weeks ago, and I was trying to explain this to him, and I just made a video and just put it on there on the screencast.com, and he went right to it and watched the video. It was pretty cool, able to do it in minutes, whereas my other screen recording software, I'd have to make the video and then put it, download it to my hard drive and then upload it to YouTube or send it to him or Google Drive or something like that. So Snagit's helpful.
So to do the video on that one, do you just switch it to the video recorder, and then it's the same thing? You click the little screencast button.
Yep.
I will have to try it.
Yeah, it might be a little different, but I'm trying to think. When you're done recording the video, it may ask you as soon as you're done recording the video. I think it asks you right there
Okay.
where you want to put it, and you can just say, screencast.com, and then it acts just like the image does. It's very helpful. Any other ones? There's so many tools, that you use a lot, but most of the good ones are free, really. Google Drive is one I can't live without. Evernote I've been using a lot more lately.
I never really got too much into Evernote for business stuff, like for taking notes on the road for stuff like shopping lists or whatever. I use it sometimes.
Mhm.
I do use for my new Mac. I downloaded AI Writer or IA Writer, which is
Hmm.
a writing program. It's pretty cool. It's like totally blank, and so when you enlarge it, all you're doing is writing on the screen. So it's good for focusing. I
Cool.
don't really like the text is really big, so it's kind of like
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's magnified for old people's eyes. I wish it was a bit more refined, so I could see more on the screen. But it's also like it gives you a feeling of accomplishment. You're like, oh, I wrote a whole page. Oh, it's only 2 paragraphs.
Right, right. Yeah, I'll say that for later. That's about the only ones I can think of that I really depend on uh, every day. Anyway, running short on time. We only got about 20 minutes, so want to move on to some of these other ones here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Tips on how to get engagement. So somebody wants tips on how to get engagement from their readers, and get comments and shares. That's kind of like an open-ended question, really. I'll let you go first if you got anything.
Oh, thanks. um, I just asked this question to someone in WA the other day. Um, I would say my most engaging posts. Uh, people say like, "Oh, you got to ask for comments, ask for opinions," which is good, but it hasn't always worked for me. Sometimes if you ask a specific question, you'll get people to answer. And I have found that if I post stuff on social media, if I send it through Google Plus to people's emails, I find that that gets a lot more comments as well, but that is depending on you having people in your Google Plus circles, which I guess you could add them. Um, but the posts that get the most comments are the ones that have a strong opinion that a lot of people disapprove of. So basically, the posts where I slam on MLM companies are the ones where I get the most comments, and they're hate comments. Um, and cash gifting too. So I mean, people are passionate about it, I guess. But I've never really written a post where it's like helpful information. People are like, "Oh, this is great," blah blah blah, leaving comments. Like people say like "thank you" on helpful posts, and that's about it. Um, but my blog isn't really that type of discussion type thing. It's like I present my opinion, and people accept it or don't accept it. I think if maybe I had a website which was a bit more open to that type of discussion, I might get more comments.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up right there. Which I'm not trying to avoid the question, but um, are you just looking for comments and stuff like that because that's what you think you need because that's what everybody else is looking for? Because I've learned that for example, let's talk about Brian Clark for a second. Brian Clark is well known in the internet marketing world. Copy Blogger is huge. He's a really smart guy. Everybody loves his content, but if you go to his Google Plus page and look at all of the stuff he shares, there's no comments on that stuff. um, so the real question is that what you really need? Is that the metric you're trying to really measure? And if so, why? Does it amount to anything for you? Because engagement a lot of times just means more engagement, and if that additional engagement doesn't equal to cash somewhere along the lines, then maybe that's not what you need. Now, my answer to your direct question would be I would try to start doing stuff, or at least what I'm trying to do is something that's different from what everybody else is doing. Everybody's got share buttons. Everybody says, hey, please leave a comment. One of the things that the thing that Nathaniel just said is, opinionated content. That's one of the things that I learned, early on in my marketing career, whatever you want to call it. And that little piece of information seems to have died. Everybody seems to have forgot it, but that's really good information. Taking a stance and letting your opinion be known is a great way to get comments and people talking about your stuff, and that's what you want to do. I mean, online or magazines, newspapers, any kind of publishing. That's what you want to do. You want to try to get emotion, especially if you're trying to get people to buy something. People buy with emotion first.
It sucks sometimes because if you if you have an opinion and you put it on the internet, people will not spare you any feelings most of the time. Like if you look at, I've always talked about how disgusting YouTube is. In part, people are trolling, but if you look at the stuff with regarding like parenting or human rights stuff or like political stuff, like people certainly share their opinions and they're not shy about it. So you got to kind of have a thick skin if you want the engagement. I always get offended. I'm like, your opinion offends me. But I ask for it. If I put myself out there, like, and I'm gonna take a hard stance on something, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, and then so I don't always take it very well. It's just another example of do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard, man. The few times that I've had to deal with it, it is tough. Let's see what else we got here. Lost the thing. One more thing I want to say on that is that we've talked about this before, but that snowfall article got so much rave and stuff like that, and that's because the content was a little bit different. It was interactive and stuff like that. It really didn't touch anybody's buttons, but it was super creative. So, just think about that. Just try to think of creative stuff that you can do that's a little bit different, but you ain't got to be so totally different. But if you're a little bit different and opinionated, like Nathaniel said, people will let you know what they think, and you won't have to ask them. This is another one I really struggle with, man. What makes a good homepage? A blog roll, a portfolio, a gallery. Your homepage is awesome, man. I've always wanted to ask you, like, what goes on in your head, like, when you decide what to put where on your homepage?
It's funny you say that because my homepage doesn't really get that much engagement or clicks. Like, the biggest picture on there is like, start your website here or make money here. Like, out of a couple thousand visits a day, maybe it'll get 20 hits. Like, I've seen stats that show, they have the heat maps and like your home, when people click on your home link the most. So I would expect that it would be one of the most frequented pages and that you should, obviously should have some prominent stuff there. But I really don't get that many clicks from, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but like I used to have a sticky post. It was like top 10 online scams, and I was like, did a breakdown of all the different types of scams, and that pretty much got no clicks. And I used to have a thing for site rubrics on there where it was like, make your hobby into a business, and that was like the big picture, and it got maybe like 15 clicks a day. If you look at my homepage, the top 10 FAQ is pretty popular, probably the most of what's on there right now. So I guess people are seeing stuff and clicking on what they want. Maybe it could just be that I don't have the right type of content that people are looking for. Maybe people are just browsing, seeing if like I always, when I go to a website, I'll go to the homepage and I'll see what's recent. I might not click on it, but I want to see like when the last post was made. Is it still an active website? What other type of content do they have? Well, I'll read the titles, but I won't necessarily dig in too much.
Yeah, one thing somebody said a while back that really I never thought about is that most of the people that come to your website aren't going straight to your homepage. Most of them are coming to a blog post or some other page on your site. So that's one thing to really think about. And for me, I've always taken the easy way out and just created a blog roll because I feel like that's what I want people to see. And I can't ever make up my mind of how to lay out my homepage. So, and then again, this really depends on what you're doing, what your niche is. So, like, if you're a freelance writer, maybe, even then, though, really, I don't see a portfolio making a good homepage. But, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that structuring a homepage really takes a lot of work to get it perfect. So, or whatever close to perfect. So for me, I just take a blog roll and let that do its job, and focus more on my sidebar and how to get their attention to move them around the site. Sliders, I hear a lot of people say that they're just not working anymore. Nobody ever clicks on them, so I think having a slider on your homepage is a thing of the past. So really,
yeah, I used to, as a newbie, I was like, oh, these sliders are so cool. I can like focus on different content and have nice pictures, and it looks great. But I never got any clicks on it.
Yeah, they look awesome and they make you really look like a professional. But I continue to hear over and over and over that ugly stuff works best, and that kind of sucks. But I hear that about home pages, landing pages, anywhere you're trying to get a conversion. I always hear that the ugly stuff works best. So
I could see that. I think people see it as like homemade. It's like vintage is kind of coming back, where people want stuff with flaws in it, or they want stuff that looks like it's a little bit old. Like everyone buys their jeans with holes in them now, and they've got like faded, like you buy faded jeans.
Yeah.
Which I agree. I like the look of the faded jeans, but it doesn't make sense that you make new jeans and then you pay someone to like wear them out, and then you buy them for a more expensive price than if you didn't pay someone to wear them out.
Yeah, I don't know. So
maybe it looks more trustworthy. Like, oh, this guy can't even make a website. He has to be honest.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it like. Because a lot of people, I think, don't want to deal or get involved with like a big agency. I think a lot of people try to put that kind of facade up without really knowing any better, because they think it makes them look more professional and more trustworthy. So when somebody lands on your site and it's like got this big agency look and feel to it, then they just don't want anything to do with it. It's like, just like when you buy a car, you want to feel like you have a connection to that person selling it to you. So yeah, maybe that is it. They just feel like it's got the more comforting appeal to
them. Speaking of the agency look, another mistake I made back in the day was that when I had all these websites, I wanted them to look legitimate. So I invented my own company, and which wasn't any kind of company other than just a website. But I called it something multinational, and made a website for it, and had like a portfolio on there, and did a whole logo thing, and printed business cards, and then I made my own like set of logos, and I put these logos on this site on my sites. I'm like, yeah, this is part of this network, blah blah blah, and it cost me a lot of money and didn't do anything for me. So
yeah.
Lesson learned.
That's funny. Yep, I've heard similar stories just like that. Um, all right, so we got about 5 minutes left. We got 2 questions left. I really don't understand this number 5. Do you understand the question here?
Let's see, keywords compare 100 posts, low QSR 400 words, or 50 posts, high QSR 1,000 words. I think they mean like what's going to rank better, what's going to convert better. I would definitely go with the 50 posts of higher QSR of 1,000 plus words. So like saying small amount of content with higher volume of posts versus lower volume of posts with higher amount of content, and then they've also thrown in keyword competition in there. I don't look at competition too much these days, but yeah, I think my number one priority would be to find posts that have a higher search volume and then write more amount of content for them. Because it's not really that often that you see a post with only a couple hundred words on it ranking, unless it's really low competition stuff. Like I ranked a post the other day with like 200 words, and it was on page 1. It was super low competition. I think most of the time you want to get closer to 1,000 words, which not all posts lend themselves to writing that much content. You can't write 1,000 words on, I don't know, like a Keurig coffee cup. Like you're like, this is really good coffee. It's really good coffee because it's dark roasted and it tastes better than light roasted coffee. You run out of stuff to say. That's part of like the keyword research process. Is you also gotta not just look at the words and the numbers, but you gotta look at like, can I write a post on this?
Yep, I agree with that. Actually, I'm writing a post about a lot of what you just said there. But 400 word posts. I just, like you said, I don't see those happening very often anymore. So I mean, the lower the QSR your post or the keyword is, the easier it's going to be to rank for. But I think depending on your niche, you're probably going to need to expand on your topic a little bit more than 400 words. So that's kind of out of the question there. So let's see. The next one is it better for newbies to typically start with a physical or digital product?
I don't know. I would say start with what you like. For me, I've found more success with selling digital products because they typically have higher payouts, and it's something, I don't know, I've maybe had an easier time finding reviews of it that I can use to make my own reviews, so I don't always have to buy the stuff. I don't know, I've just always been involved with digital products. Obviously I have the beer site stuff, but that hasn't really taken off yet.
I like digital products a lot too. But if you are, again, this depends on your niche, but like a lot of the make money at home type of stuff is going to be a digital product because it's going to be like a course or an ebook or some type of tool or something like that. So digital products, they do a lot better in that type of niche. But I remember one thing that Jay said from Wealthy Affiliate a long time ago. I'm pretty sure he still talks about it now, but if you sell a physical product, like if you're an Amazon affiliate, try to go for something big, because the bigger the product is, the less likely it is that they're going to run to the store and pick it up. It's easier for them to have it shipped there. So that's, there's stuff like that you got to think about that really makes a difference sometimes.
That's true. I bought that coffee, that bar stool, not stool, like bar table thing, that I moved all like my coffee equipment to.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I bought online. It was like I didn't want to load it in the truck and, and take it home. Going to the store was not even an option just because I didn't want to deal with it. It was delivered right to my door. It turned out to be like it was like IKEA style stuff, so it wasn't fantastic, but it worked and it was yeah, cost me I think $200 or something. If someone had a review of a coffee table like that on their website, I might have found a review of it and might have made them a 10% commission.
Yeah, exactly. I can't really think of nothing else, but yeah, I like digital products for sure. And I did the same thing when I'm buying stuff online. And I've been buying a lot more lately online. So yeah, definitely, because I have a car, I don't own a truck. So with fuel being as expensive as it is, that's not going to go away. More and more people are going to own cars and quit driving their trucks if they have any. So it costs a lot less to ship a big item than it does for them usually to go pick it up. When you factor in fuel, time off of work, and everything else, it's just cheaper to get it shipped most of the time. So
returns,
yeah, if they got to take it, yeah, that's a huge problem. So yeah,
I mean, Amazon pays millions and millions of dollars to affiliates, so someone's making money with physical products.
Yeah.
Not me, but someone is.
Yep. But if you're talking about creating your own product, yeah, I guess you wouldn't be really creating a physical product, would you?
No. But people say that creating your own product is where the money's at, but I'm not convinced as far as work versus money received. Like, it's not just like you create a product and then people just come buy it. You still have to do all the marketing for it, and then if you don't do the marketing for it, you still have to do the marketing to get affiliates, and then you have to pay 50% of whatever it is you're making. So you have to make sure it sells and it's all set up nice so that affiliates have an incentive to go out there and sell it for you. So, I mean, there's not only a competition for the product itself, but there's competition for getting affiliates as well.
Yep.
So I think some people may just enjoy the product creation process more than being an affiliate. I don't know. I've never created a product, so I don't know exactly how profitable it can be.
I don't either, but I'm thinking about it, so we'll definitely let you guys know. I'm definitely considering it. But I don't know if I'm going to sell it or give it away for free, as like a bribe, an email bribe or something like that. But I'm definitely going to create a product soon.
Yeah, well, I could see product creation being very good for someone who doesn't want to mess with website building and the whole affiliate marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you know how to do your own what's that called, kilning, where you fire the clay and the cups and stuff. If you have a home set for that and that's your hobby and you want to teach people how to do that and create an info product based around that, but you don't want to get into internet marketing and all that stuff, then yeah, you can write a product like that, pay someone to build your website, and then hire affiliates to do it, and then that's all passive income. But if you're going to get involved in the make money niche and you want to write a guide on how to make money and sell it to people and teach them how to make money, then I wouldn't even mess with that. And that's why I promote Wealthy Affiliate, because I know how to make money online. I could write my own info product, but I can't compete with what the professionals are offering, so I'd rather provide people with that kind of value that they can take care of, and then I just take care of the affiliate stuff. Easier for me.
Yep, I agree with that too. Let's see. We're about 5 over here, and I'm ready to go. You got anything else you want to add to that? I think it was a pretty good show. We hit all the questions. I think we did a good job of answering them and getting all the other strays that might have come around from it.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone next week, so no webinar next week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I wanted to say that.
I'm going to be making a pumpkin beer in Riverside, so I'll try to post some pics of that.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, fall's coming up fast. It's already getting cool here.
Yeah, it is here too, and I love it. So I'm ready for it, man. All right, so we will not see you guys next week, but we'll be posting in the community and let you guys know what's up. We're going to look forward to pictures of pumpkin beer, and I'll be riding a four-wheeler with my son a lot this week, so I'll have some pictures in there of that too.
Cool.
All right, guys, we will see you later.
Later.